Today I want to talk about mindset. Football and boxing has in the last few weeks been an extraordinary example of the mental strength required to perform at the highest level under unbelievable pressure. Self-defense experts always talk about having the right mindset, but what does that actually mean? I have met hundreds if not thousands of people over the years that train their body and mind to become the ultimate warrior. They create their own brand and marketing campaign to tell everyone how awesome they are, and yet I've seen many of these people humbled and sometimes humiliated by individuals with little to no experience and in many cases a complete lack of skills for the situations they find themselves in. Draw your memory to an individual you know or have heard of who speaks a good talk but can't back it up. I'm sure you can think of somebody. So the question is, do you need to have a mindset of a killing machine in order to be able to successfully defend yourself? Put simply, the answer is no, but you do need to appreciate a few things to be able to switch on your survival instincts when you're in trouble. A good self-defense practitioner recognises one simple fact. In a real situation they are realistically going to get hurt, and therefore damage and limitation can only be maintained if their mindset is able to keep the ordeal short and be prepared to do whatever is necessary. Yes, that means anything. This is normally the first huge hurdle for most people. As animals, we have an amazing ability and resilience to overcome challenges in order to survive an ordeal, and yet at the same time, our need to exist in social gatherings, large groups, mean we spend most of our lives suppressing some of our natural survival instincts. We learn how to resolve conflict through talking and have created numerous support mechanisms around ourselves to control our negative emotions and feelings. By the way, by everything I mean have a defensive strategy that includes punching and kicking and slapping and scratching and gouging and pulling, and even use environmental tools such as pens and keys, anything you can do. The second mindset challenge is to appreciate the realisation of a fall. Yes, you're going to fall to the ground. So a practical way to prepare for this and to reduce injuries is to learn how to fall safely. Babies and young children always fall over and rarely hurt themselves seriously. This is simply because they relax into the fall, and the lack of tension in their muscles and joints does not put excessive force on any part of their body. There are some great martial arts styles available where you can learn how to fall safely. However, I urge you to consider this. Falling on a nice soft mat in a leisure centre is very different from falling on concrete or on an icy surface. You will need to adjust your training accordingly. Here is one such amendment to a traditionally taught backfall. We call it a combat backfall. You will notice the arms and hands are kept into the side of the body, whilst the legs bend and the body rolls, keeping the rear of the head off the floor. This is important so there is no impact trauma to the head. Traditionally, people learn how to fall backwards by slapping the floor and absorbing a lot of the force through the arms. This is great on a mat, and I assure you it's not pretty on a concrete surface. The third, and by far the most valuable ingredient to having the right mindset for a self-defense situation, is self-value. I have worked with thousands of domestic violence victims who absorb years of physical and psychological trauma, and as soon as their kids are in danger they turn on the very survival skills they needed all along. Yes, I know it's always more complicated than that. I hear it all the time. Unfortunately, for the 2 women that are killed from domestic violence every week, it's a little bit too late. At this point, let me share a brief story with you about a lady I met 14 years ago called Sue. Sue attended one of my personal safety seminars, and it was clear from the outset she had a negative view of the event. When she made it clear that she was asked to attend by a support worker and was reluctantly there. She went on to tell me and the rest of the group that her entire 11-year marriage was a daily battle of fear and bruises. Her words, not mine. I asked Sue if she had any children, and she replied, yes, I've got 2. I've got a 9-year-old boy and a 6-year-old girl. The seminar continued with Sue constantly interrupting with negative comments. This was until I come to the section of the seminar where I address self-value. Sue started crying as she realised a lack of self-value was massively impacting the lives of her children and ultimately their behaviour and safety. I would like to tell you this seminar turned her life around, but it didn't. She went back to a normal daily grind of fear and bruises. Several months later at another event I was running, and to my surprise Sue turned up again. She didn't say a word for that entire seminar until I asked her questions at the end. Sue used this platform to tell the rest of the attendees and me about the first seminar. After the first seminar, she went back to her normal routine. But 2 months later, her now ex-husband raised her hand to her son. This was for her a pivotal change of direction, and she finally had the courage to say a few of the words that she'd been mustering up for several years, and after a little scuffle, packed her bags and took her young children to a refuge. She was mortified, as she realised if she would have had more self-value at the beginning, she would have been able to stop her children witnessing all that they had witnessed. She realised the best way for her to protect her children was to protect herself first. Anyway, over the next few years, Sue became a regular support for the seminars, and she grew stronger and stronger, which was great to see. I know it is more complicated than that, I hear it all the time, but it doesn't change the fact that the important and most important ingredient of having the right mindset for a self-defense situation is self-value. I hope today's thoughts help you. See you next time, and before I go, let me leave you with these 3 important ingredients again. They're on the screen. Number 1, do anything and everything to survive. Number 2, learn how to fall safely, because you'll never know when you're going to need it. And number 3, understand and appreciate self-value.